first thing we're going to do is we're going to butterfly the chicken. So I'm using chicken breast here, and you see with the breast you have this small tender here. We're going to take that off and save that for a stir fry or something else later. And now what we're going to do is butterfly the breast. So I like to butterfly from the curved side here, and the joint will be on this side here. That's just the way I prefer doing it. You can do it whichever way you find comfortable. So butterflying, you're just cutting the breast sideways, and idea is to give it more surface area. So you use butterflying for making the breast a little thinner or wider. Now this is a butterfly chicken breast. We're gonna use a little bit of cling film and put that over the breast. This is just for the tenderizing part. And then I'm gonna use a mallet. So this is a mallet that I like. It's very cheap. It's available at your dollar store for the most part. If you don't have a mallet, you can use a rolling pin or a frying pan. I've seen people use all kinds of stuff. You can even use a hammer if you want to. I'm going to flatten it as far as I can. So I'm going to just use the flat side. That's done. Save this cling film because we're going to use it to roll the chicken breast up in. And now we're just going to salt the breast. Always season your meat. No matter what you're using, beef, pork, chicken, whatever it is, make sure it's salted. Some pepper. Pepper is optional. We're going to flip this over. Season the other side as well. The next part we're doing is we're going to stuff this chicken. So I'm going to use a few slices of ham. Now you can use any kind of ham you like. Like I said earlier, I'm using deli ham because I find it goes well with this recipe. Make sure it's covered completely. And then we're going to use some cheese. This is Gruyere cheese. I wouldn't recommend cheddar because cheddar would be a little too strong, but Swiss would work well. So what we're doing now is we're going to roll it up. We're going to make it into a nice little tight roulade. So roulade is basically just a French word for roll. So now we're going to make the sauce or the gravy. And I'm using a little dulse butter that I made earlier this week. And the dulse butter is just what we use with seaweed. I just toast the dulse and mix it in with butter, and it gives a nice umami flavor to the dish. That's going to add to the overall gravy quality. So we're just going to wait for that butter to melt, and we keep it on a fairly medium to low heat just to make sure that the butter doesn't burn. Now roux is one of the most versatile things. It's something that can add flavor, it adds a little color as well, and it thickens the sauce. So it's got three functions. I'm going to lower the heat a bit in this case because you can see the butter starting to bubble. We don't want that happening. I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of flour. Now what we'll do is we'll actually whisk them together. So it's important to use a whisk in this case because it just makes sure that things get incorporated better. And I'm going to make about a cup of gravy or sauce, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to make sure all the butter and the flour are nicely incorporated here. We add in the stock. And now all you have to do is keep stirring, whisking it while it comes to a boil. Fairly simple recipe, isn't it? Now it's important to keep whisking this as it comes to a boil, because if you let it sit, the flour is going to settle at the bottom, and that's going to cause a lot of burning and a lot of clumpiness in your sauce. So you just keep whisking it. Once this comes to a rolling boil, you know it's good to go, and you just test it by dipping a spoon in. If it goes to the back of the spoon like it does here, you're good. If you do want it thicker, you can leave it in for a little longer. For me, this is good enough. So I'm just waiting for it to come to a boil, and at this point you can give it a taste and check for seasoning. In this case, it's been about half an hour since we put the chicken roulades in the freezer. I set up my breading station, as you can see here. So we have plain all-purpose flour at this end, then we have some egg wash in the middle, and we have some panko breadcrumbs at the end. So I have here the chicken cordon bleu, the roulade. I'm going to unwrap it. It's like a little sweet wrapper, isn't it? So you see, letting it rest in the freezer for a bit makes it more compact. It becomes like one piece there. So we're going to first put in the flour. This is just to absorb the extra moisture that's already there on the chicken. There we go into the egg wash. You can do a double coating, but I like to keep it light, so I like to do a single coating only. And just make sure that's evenly coated with the breadcrumbs. There we go. So now we come to the final part of the cook, which is the frying of the cordon bleu. I'm going to fill this pan about halfway full with oil. I'm just using a neutral oil. In this case, I'm using sunflower oil. You can use any oil you like, avocado or whatever, but since it's deep frying, I would say not to use olive oil as far as possible. We're just going to wait for that to come up to temperature. Once again, the temperature we're looking for is between 300 and 350 Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's going to take a while. Okay, now the oil's up to temperature, so we're going to put the cordon bleus in there. When you're doing the frying, make sure you put the thing away from you, like that. I aim is to get to a temperature of about 170 internal. It's fairly low right now. Because the oil is heated up a little too much, I'm going to have to flip it multiple times to make sure it cooks evenly and doesn't burn.